Hi Bartonella buddies! So you may be wondering about these false eyelashes, so here's why I got them. A, they got me over the limit so I could get free shipping, and B, my mom and I are gonna fly away on them, away from all of my health problems. Come fly with me, let's fly away. Come fly with me, let's fly away. When I'm better, I'm gonna do a tap dance for ya. So I know that the title of this video is really dramatic and may seem like clickbait, but I think after you hear the story, you will agree with me that the title is actually quite appropriate. I've made a few videos that will give good context for the story in this video, and I'll leave them in the video description box, and one of them is on the latest research in hydrogen sulfide SIBO. In my previous videos on my gut health, or rather lack thereof, I discussed how I basically struggled with SIBO for over a year because I erroneously, aka stupidly, believed that my belching was not due to SIBO. My test came back positive, but my numbers were only slightly above normal, and my two Bartonella literate medical doctors weren't really impressed by these numbers, so we didn't treat it. Another reason we didn't treat it was because my mast cell activation was so bad, it really was questionable as to whether or not I would tolerate the treatment. One of my doctors wanted me to treat elevated levels of C. diff toxin that was found in my GI map from Diagnostic Solutions. So without getting sidetracked by those details, that was a whole disaster. But the one good thing that came out of it was my relentless, horrendous, painful, did I say that already? Belching finally stopped after struggling with it for over a year. After treating with the vancomycin, testing showed that my levels of hydrogen and methane on my SIBO breath test had come down to normal levels. Unfortunately, a few weeks after that, I started to react to a lot of my previously safe foods. Here is a list of what my reactions can involve. At this point, my only safe foods were low histamine vegetables and beef, turkey, pork, and fish. I first started to react to beef with fatigue, nerve pain, and malaise, and I found literature by Dr. Afrin that says that some people with MCAS react to beef with nerve pain, so I cut that out and I got better. But then I started to react to pork, turkey, salmon, tilapia, and leeks. During one of my reactions to fish, I had 9 out of 10 pain in my stomach, and I was sitting on the bathroom, you sit on the bathroom floor, and you weave. And I was sitting on the bathroom floor, screaming and crying, and it felt like someone was stabbing me in the back with a knife, and I was yelling to my mom that she had to take me to the emergency room. But I really didn't want to go to the emergency room because COVID was happening and unfortunately still is. And I didn't want to go into the emergency room without my mom, especially with a condition that most doctors don't understand or even worse, don't believe in. I tried taking my rescue meds a couple of times and threw them up both times, but then my mom and I had the bright idea of crushing up my Benadryl and Valium and dissolving it in water, and I slowly sipped that until my pain came down to a 1 out of 10. Rescue meds to the rescue! So after that episode, I then started to react to vegetables high in sulfur, and because I was so reactive, I then started to react to vegetables not high in sulfur. It was at this time that I sent a couple of my doctors a very desperate and sad email about how I was scared that I was going to die. Luckily, I soon had a doctor's appointment with one of my BLMDs, and he was the one that recognized that I was having reactivity to foods high in sulfur, and he recommended that I go on a low sulfur diet. The low sulfur diet, in combination with all the other foods that I was already sensitive to, left me with a diet of squash, sweet potato, potatoes, celery, carrots, cucumber, and that's it. And air. Could use a little salt. This was devastating and scary, but I felt better on the low sulfur diet the very next day, so I was relieved to be, not having those symptoms anymore. My integrative gastroenterologist suspected that my newly acquired sulfur intolerance was due to an overgrowth of H2S producing bacteria, or hydrogen sulfide SIBO, and he prescribed bismuth. Bismuth is the active ingredient in Pepto-Bismol, and it has been shown to perhaps be helpful in hydrogen sulfide SIBO. But I didn't follow through with taking it because with MCAS, it's really hard to push through uncomfortable treatment, especially when you're not convinced that that's the issue that you're dealing with. Part of the reason I wasn't convinced that the H2S SIBO was the reason for my sulfur intolerance was because the BLMD that identified that I was reacting to sulfur and his naturopath each had a different hypothesis for the sulfur intolerance. So in addition to my gastroenterologist, I had 3 opposing hypotheses. In the meantime, my MCAS progressively got worse as if it wasn't bad enough already, and my lower abdominal swelling progressively got worse. So that, along with my low weight, made me look like someone had taken my ass and put it on my stomach. I looked like a keg with legs. I looked like a bloated Kate Moss. Luckily, I soon got my Trio Smart breath test back, and this is the only commercial test available that tests for hydrogen sulfide SIBO, and the cutoff for normal is 5, and my result was 10, and that's the highest that the test goes. My SIBO is bigger than your SIBO, and I was normal for hydrogen and methane. When I got these results back, I really started digging into Dr. Mark Pimentel's work. I then started to react to butter, and butter's not a high sulfur food, but I did read on Dr. Jacoby's website that she treats patients with hydrogen sulfide SIBO with a low-fat vegan diet. So I thought, okay, I just have to temporarily cut out butter. But then I started to react to my reverse osmosis water in my house. And my mom and I thought, okay, well, maybe it's because we just put in a new carbon filter. So I tried Crystal Geyser, and I reacted to that too. So then I tried my alkaline bottled water, and that seemed to be okay. But then I started to react to my Benadryl and my Valium. At this point, I thought I was reacting to the inactive ingredients in them, even though I had never reacted to them before. And of course, this was happening on a Friday night when none of my doctors were reachable, and I need these meds to control my pain and to eat. I was understandably wigged the f*** out. I didn't even want to text my best friends what was happening because I didn't want to talk about it or think about it because I didn't want to have a panic attack. So now we're on to Saturday, and I fasted all the next day, didn't drink any water until about 5 p.m., and I slowly drank half a glass of water, and that went okay. I then drank the second half of that glass of water, but not slowly, and I had burning nerve pain all over my body. At this point, I understandably was worried that I may have to go to the ER to get IV fluids, that I may have to get a central line placed to get continuous diphenhydramine infusion, or CDI, which is a continuous Benadryl infusion. I was even scared that I would have to go on TPN, which stands for total parenteral nutrition, and that means you get all your nutrition through an IV, and that's really, really not a fun thing to be on. I also thought that I may have to take high-dose steroids to stabilize. Later that evening, I ate a little bit of soup, and that went okay, and I took 1 Benadryl, and that went okay as well. So now we're on to Sunday. I took a little bit of Valium, and that went okay. And I took a little Pepsid, and that went okay. But as the day went on, I became more and more reactive. So I figured out I wasn't reacting to any one thing in particular. I literally was reacting to the process of ingesting. By the end of the day, it didn't really matter what I was ingesting. My mast cells were freaking out. Now, some MCAS doctors will not believe that you can react to the process of ingesting. They'll say it's the excipients, or it's the plastic particulates breaking off the water bottle, or some other sort of chemical contaminant. I'm here to prove them wrong. Not just so that I can be right, even though I love being right, but more importantly, I really wonder how many MCAS patients have been in my similar situation and did end up on high-dose steroids, TPN, or CDI. During this time, I got down to 91 pounds, and I'm 5'2", and I started my illness at 103 pounds. And when I realized I was reacting to the process of ingesting, this serendipitously coincided when I was delving into Dr. Pimentel's work. I also came across a YouTube video in which Dr. Alison Seebecker says that she finds bladder pain to be common in those with hydrogen sulfide SIBO, and I was having a lot of bladder pain. So at this point, I knew that my increasing MCAS reactivity that had been getting worse since losing the sulfur foods over the past several months, that was now snowballing exponentially. Is that redundant? into the mess that I was now in, where absolutely nothing was safe because my mast cells were so pissed off at a toxic gas called hydrogen sulfide. This is what I diagnosed myself with. Now it was time to treat myself, or should I say, treat myself. I thankfully had some Xifaxan on hand, and I kid you not, after 3 pills of Xifaxan, my bladder pain had decreased by 80%. Is this because Xifaxan has anti-inflammatory properties outside of its antimicrobial properties? Perhaps. But I've now taken 25 pills of Xifaxan, and I'm no longer reacting to my alkaline water, any of my safe foods, any of my safe medications. My bladder pain is almost entirely gone, and my bloating is almost completely gone too. So here are the lessons of the story. Number 1, SIBO exacerbated my MCAS to the point where I was reacting to the process of ingesting. How many other MCAS patients are there out there that this has happened to that never identified SIBO as the cause? Number 2, if you are reacting to sulfur-containing foods, you should pursue the hydrogen sulfide SIBO test and proper treatment. 3, MCAS researchers need to be more open to the idea that chronic infections like SIBO and bartonellosis can cause MCAS. You know who you are. I may not know where you live, but I know where you work. And number 4, even if you have many doctors, I have 5. You are the one that spends 24/7 with you. So while your doctors may give you the puzzle pieces, you're the one that has to put the puzzle pieces together. If you're new to my channel, my name is Jake and I'm 27 years old, not 17. I make... What do I do? I make gas. I make videos about Bartonellosis, mast cell activation syndrome, SIBO, and exosomes. And if you learned anything from this video, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Oh, and Bartonella buddies, if you really want to help out my channel, please share my videos in relevant Facebook health groups. I mean, obviously, if it's not against the rules. I can't do that because it's seen as self-promotion, but if you do it, then I can get my channel out to a broader audience, and I will appreciate you forever if you do that for me. Piper says, "Come fly with me, let's fly away." Mwah. Bye, Bartonella buddies! Are your ears back because you're flying? Woo! Fly away.
You're so worried.
Do I sound like Frank Sinatra?
No.
Do I look like Frank Sinatra?
No, but maybe Ronan Farrow.
Why, thank you.